today we are delighted to have our UG coordinator, Professor Kachai, to share with us. So may we invite our professor to talk about the program overview first?
Hi everyone, this is Ekachai, coordinator for finance. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so for our program, let me see. The flow of this PowerPoint will be introduction to our program. And then after I finish my short talk, then our student will share the view about our program. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask us anytime. The best way will be through the chat box. If you ask any question, we will try to answer to your question right away. Okay, so please do not be shy. Ask question if you have anything. So for our program, we admit the cohort size is 130 per year. So we have a lot of quota. So we target students who are interested in finance. So what is finance? Finance is a subject that helps us understand how to manage money. For example, investment, right? Investment decision or portfolio management, how to identify how to invest in different asset class and how to compute the price of stock and bonds. Those kind of things will be about finance. Okay, let's go to the next slide. In terms of curriculum, we are quite comprehensive and flexible at the same time. So if you join our finance program, then you could also declare, apply to declare additional major. So if you want to have major in management, accounting, IS, econ, so you can apply to join a major selection. And most of our students have double major study plan, so it's not difficult at all. So just you just have to take some more courses, but it will be easy for you to do. And if you want to have additional major in other school, such as engineering school, science school, or social science, you can also do that. You just have to apply. At UST, we are quite flexible. So let's look at our curriculum. In year one, you will start to learn finance. So you learn finance very early in year one if you join us. And then it will help you to prepare yourself for job interview, to help you understand a little bit more about finance. And for UST, we are quite flexible. After 1 year, right, if you change your mind, you do not want to have major in finance, you still can choose to select other major. Okay, so the good thing is that we let you study finance first in the first year. And if you like it, you continue. If it happens to be that you don't like it, you can choose to change. So I think that is a very good option for UST students. You can have an option to change. For our program, we have several activities for you in each year. So this is what we do for this academic year. And now most of the thing is now will be face-to-face now. Okay, so we try to do everything face-to-face. It's not online events anymore. We have a lot of career support. If you want to really find a job in finance, I think our department will be able to help you. The career outcome. For the career outcome, most of the students will join finance industry, and they join a lot of good companies. So you can see the list here on the right-hand side of this page. And if you choose to pursue further studies, our students usually join very good university abroad after they graduate from UST. Further study is not a big problem at all. If you want to join top university, graduating from UST is a big plus. It can help you to get admitted easier. And our students also do a lot of study leave because they have various kind of interests. This is the example on where our student goes when they do study leave. They take leave for 1 year or 1 semester. And it doesn't have to be about job. Okay, you can take study leave to be a visiting student somewhere else, or you can take study leave to run your own company, or you can take study leave to volunteer. As long as it is meaningful, we're going to support you. Okay, so now it's a trend that students will use that 1 year or 1 semester to explore themselves. That will be it for me. Next, we will have some students introduce themselves first so that you know a little bit about us. And then after that, we're going to have some kind of group chat to let you understand about our program.
Yeah, we are delighted to have the program overview, and I'm sure all of you have gained a brief overview of our program. And surely you may want to hear from the student speakers. So may we now invite Dorothy Wong, Sharon Low, and Matthew Jern to briefly introduce themselves first.
Okay, hi, I'm Dorothy, and I'm a finance year 4 student right now. So I joined HKUST without a BBA declared major, and I picked finance as my major in year 2. So I went to Copenhagen Business School for an exchange when I was year 3. And then I took a year, like gap year study leave off, and I went to internship at Goldman Sachs. I also did other internships, for example, at Standard Chartered or some buy-side firms like Value Partners and Allianz. So that's pretty much about me. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharon. I'm also a final year finance student, and I got admitted to HKUST through the broad-based program. And I declared finance as my first major after the 3rd semester. So over the past years in UST, I have a lot of different opportunities through corporate projects where I worked as a consultant for the Bank of East Asia. And I also have a lot of different internship experience, such as I worked at Mayumi, one of the members in phone group as well. That'll be it for me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthew. I'm also a final year student majoring in finance, and my second major is information system. It's something like more about programming and some technical stuff. And actually, I have different experience in fintech industry, which is also one of my career field. And if you are interested in fintech or any like data scientist stuff, you can absolutely question me. And for sure, I also have a 2-year experience living in the HKUST residential hall. If you're interested in whole life, you can also reach me. And I also take in a placement as well, as people mentioned before. I work for the Hong Kong Material 40 for the FinTech Facilitation Office. And I do think placements is a good opportunity for students. And I guess you will know more when you are really admitted to in HKUST.
I see. So thank you all for your self-introduction. So we may start the panel discussion now. And actually, the first questions for you is that I want to ask, why have you chosen finance as your first major? And do you think you have made the right decision? So just feel free to start.
Maybe I can go first. Why I picked finance actually when I would just enter UST, I kind of confused whether like what I want to study and what will be my career plan. I think many of us is kind of frustrating or struggling during the first year, but actually finance is one of the best major of the business school because like many seniors alumni tell me that FINA finance is really have a good supporting, and the things is really useful when you would like to participate in the banking and finance industry. And it's all about money when you are in business school, and finance absolutely one of the best options. And I think it's really interesting and practical subject compared to other major, but I think it's really depending on your personality and the goal that you would like to achieve in order to pick the major that's suitable for you.
For me, I wanted to choose a major that is practical and also more on the hard skills. So when I started studying the introductory course for finance, I found it really interesting. And I also find, calculating the value of a company very interesting as well. So therefore, after the introductory course, I decided to declare finance as my major. And throughout these years, I have found my decision in year 2 to be a definitely right one. And I've learned a lot in finance program, and these knowledge that I've gained from school have definitely applied to the real world and through my internships as well.
So for me, the reason is similar. So when I was in year 1, I studied finance course, the introductory course, and I find it very interesting. So I would like to pick a major that is more on numbers, and that is also a little bit more versatile and can be applied for different jobs. And I think finance students that graduate from finance can pursue jobs in like fintech or finance or investment banking. Different sorts of career path would also fit. So I think it is a great major to pick from. So that's why I made the choice at that time.
So from all three of you, I think you guys also think that finance actually prepares you for entering the company or the business world, because it teaches us on how to calculate or then qualitative aspects. And actually, I received a question asking what is the biggest difference between finance and also QFine, qualitative finance. So do three of you have any thoughts on it, or our professor has any thoughts on it?
For me, in my view, the biggest difference will be the curriculum. For BBA Finance, you're going to study on various aspects of business, including finance, marketing, accounting, operation, management, strategy, that kind of stuff. But for QFin, they're going to be more focused. They're going to focus on finance and mathematics, statistics, and programming. So if you see from curriculum, it is quite different. For QFin, it will be more quantitative side. For BBA Finance, because it is BBA degree, it is more like a broad-based business curriculum. So that will be my comments on the difference.
I see. So I've also received another questions from the audience asking what is the difference between accounting and also finance. So do you have any thoughts on it?
Do you have any accounting major here? Any accounting major? No? Okay, so for accounting, right, they focus on financial statements. So basically, investor want to understand about the company, then the company have to provide information. And the way they provide information, it will be in the form of financial statements. So accounting will be about that, how to prepare financial statements. But for finance, we are more about how to invest or how to allocate money correctly. So how to decide which asset we have to buy and buy at which price. Okay, and there are many kind of assets. So for finance, we have to learn how to compute the value of various kind of assets. It could be stock, bond, real estate, derivative, option, futures. So that will be the main difference between finance and accounting. And for finance, we also touch on risk management as well. So how to manage the risks, how to maximize the return and reduce the risks. So for accounting, it will be on reporting side, how to report the status of the company to investor, regulators, and stakeholders.
I see. So I'm sure actually finance is a very unique program. It's distinctive from other kind of business course. So do you guys have any thoughts on how is our finance programs different from those from other universities like HKU or CUHK? Like maybe our 3 student speakers could share on it. Do you think, like, for example, the curriculum is different from that's from other universities that make our finance program stands out?
I think like I'm not really clear about the curriculum of the Hong Kong U and CU, but I do know some of the students during my work experience, and I think from their feedback, I think UST is providing maybe a more aggressive curriculum. Like we do learn more things in much lesser time, and I think the thing that UST provides more practical and pragmatic compared to I think CU, because like my friend is CU major in finance, and I think if you're mentioning CU is kind of the IBBA program, right? And I think there's still a huge difference between UST and CU, like the culture and the material. Like I know that maybe CU don't have the programming courses when they are applying to the finance major, because seems that UST kind of focusing on the programming skills as well as the financial knowledge, so it can be a highlight.
I see. So actually finance program actually is more well-rounded in terms of the finance knowledge and also the programming skills. And apart from talking about studies, maybe we can switch to something less stressful. I'm sure many of our audience actually are curious about your U life. So regarding these aspects, can you use one word to describe your U life at HKUST?
I think my U life is fruitful, if I have to use one word to describe it, because even though there are 2 years of online school, I still got a chance to participate in many different societies. For example, I used to be the vice president for the UST swimming team, and I also participated as a consultant for women in business as well. So you can see that how different the societies could be. And apart from that, I have also got a chance to participate in a virtual study program, because as you know, all the exchange programs were canceled during the online school. But then UST is very nice to provide us some virtual study opportunities, so that even though we could not be in other countries physically, we could still be immersed in a completely new and different learning environment, and maybe study in something that UST may not be providing. So at the time that I was virtually exchanged in Yale University, I took a course in anthropology, which is something in humanities, but then our humanities schools is not offering at the time.
I see. So how about Dorothy and Matthew? Have you like engaged in any exchange or other societies?
I think if I would have to describe my U life, I would use maybe 3 words. I think it's full of opportunities, because I think for HKUST, there are definitely a lot of opportunities around, and it depends on which path you would like to take. So you can always expose yourself to these opportunities. For example, for me, I made a choice to go to Copenhagen Business School for an exchange. And I think it made my U life very fruitful, because I get to learn about finance abroad in Europe. And then we also did a lot of case studies and risk management studies with European-based companies. I think it's quite uncommon, and it's not an experience we can have in Hong Kong. So we can always expose ourselves to these opportunities. And secondly, I think, well, for me, I joined HKUST case analysis team and also traders at HKUST, which are two student clubs that allows us to learn more about maybe modeling, market news, and how to look at cases. So these are also very helpful for your career. And if you're interested, you can always choose these opportunities.
I think I would use the word diverse because like in a university is kind of different from your high school. Things is not really structured and you can explore in the field that you are interested, like the case competition. Like I have joined the London Stock Exchange trading competitions, and I think there are much more competition is really interesting and rewarding. And apart from this kind of thing, you will also met diverse people like from different backgrounds, or some non-local student is really kind of a good thing to open your mindset. And like some people will focus on extracurricular activities, some people focus on exchange, some people would want to be an entrepreneur. Like it's really a diverse societies in universities. So I think the most important thing is you find your own path and enjoy your life.
I see. So I'm sure three of you have a very fruitful year life at HKUST. And just now, all our questions is about studying and schools. But I'm sure because all of you are year 4 student now, and you are soon to be graduating, entering the workplace. And I'm curious and knowing how are you preparing for your work career? Like, could you share your story? I know that 2 of you or 3 of you have engaged in internship. Could you share your story as an intern and also some of the tips that how you could get the internship offer? Maybe like Dorothy can start first.
Okay, sure. So for internships, like I mentioned in the introduction, I did an internship at different banks and also buy-side firms like Goldman Sachs, Standard Chartered as banks. And for buy-side firms, it was Value Partners and Allianz. So I think, well, finance students are very well prepared to take these internship offers because we have a great career support. So as a finance student, we always receive like what job openings are currently open, and we will also always try to apply for it. And then during the internship, I find that I have a really good foundation that was built during like my years studying finance. For example, we learned Bloomberg market certification. So we already learned how to use the Bloomberg terminals, and we learned how to use the Thomson Reuters icon terminal as well. So these are very useful for like to help us stand out during the internships. And I think we're all very well prepared.
I see. So how about Sharon? As I know, you have also engaged in an internship during your study in finance. So do you have any tips to share with us or your story as an intern as well?
For my recent internship, I worked as a financial analysis and planning intern in Mayumi, which is a member in phone group. I think one of the biggest tips would be to prepare yourself to network with others, because the internship is one of your most valuable learning opportunities outside school. So it is important to expand your network and try to understand other stories so that you could like learn from your colleagues and strengthen yourself as well. As for my internship stories, I think my internship there was a very special one because my responsibilities were to research on a project, 3 different projects, and then present the findings as well as recommendations to the CEO and also different managers in the corporate. So during the internship, I actually presented 6 times out of 8 months. 8 weeks. So this is a very special occasion because it's rare for interns to present in front of all the high-level managers. And also it is rare that the company will actually take actions based on your recommendations and to bring changes to the company as well.
I see. So all of you have very fruitful internship experience. And I'm curious about I think all of you are actually now contemplating about your career. And I also know that most of the finance students actually enter iBanks or banks after graduating. So what career path are you considering now? Maybe Matthew could answer it first.
Sure. So let me just briefly share about my job experience. Like I kind of not really a typical finance student because I explore intensively in different industry. Like I have worked in consulting, banking, regulators, and recently I actually working in Cathay Pacific, which is an aviation industry. Why there's such a combination of job experiences because like USC offer double major system, like you really can pick the thing that you like, and while you are doing interns, you are more understanding on whether you would like to continue in this field or there's any other field that you are more interested in. And before that, I would really engage in banking and finance industry, but then I think maybe technology is also one career path that I would like to dig deeper. So now I'm kind of targeting myself as a data scientist or a bridge between banking and technical side, maybe some analyst positions. And I think it's really depending on your experience, and you may vary from the first day when you enter UST and when you graduate, you may have a different option. So it's really diverse and volatile.
I see. So actually, apart from job seeking, did you guys face any challenges, especially now when seeking job? And do you find any resources provided by the finance department actually help you tackle that challenges? Or if you look at the now the finance industry, many of us were talking about fintech. Do you think fintech is actually a challenges to the finance industry, or did it impact your job seeking? Or are you trying to do something that could equip yourself to be more competitive in the finance industry?
I can probably do some sharing here. So when I was interning at Goldman Sachs, one trend that I realized was that a lot of things are getting automated. For example, because I worked in equity research, so a lot of data that was pulled out, I was actually using an automated method to be pulled out and calculated. And they were also calculating the indices, like different real-time index. For example, before people would only use Excel to manage these data, but now they're using more with programs and like BBA, Python, etc. So, well, for me, because I was very lucky that I took a Python course in HKUST, and it was like part of the finance curriculum. So I could pick it up easily. So I think not all like finance students know programming when compared to some like other university finance students. So we definitely have an edge, and I encourage everyone to maybe consider learning programming as well, because it will be very helpful to equip yourself in programming when you enter the finance world.
I see. So apart from talking about jobs and works, so maybe we could switch back to something that our audience cares about. So actually, I have a question directed to Professor Kachai. Some students is asking what quality do interviewers value the most from a candidate during the admission interview? Could you share a bit on it?
We are looking for people who are interested in finance. I mean, there are many times when we interview candidate, right? And candidate may say, oh, I want to make money. My parents want me to do finance. I think those kind of answer is not a big positive on the interview performance. We want a student who really want to learn the subject by themselves, and then they also should try to strive to improve themselves in various ways, because for finance, if you not know finance, you may think that finance is about calculation. But once you get into the industry, then you will realize that actually finance is about communication. And then people who has better personality and better networking skill could do better in finance. So calculation is just half of the finance, but another half will be people skill. We need students who, we want to try to attract more of the students who do both on both sides. But even you are not good in both qualities that I mentioned yet, but as long as you are willing to learn and you want to improve, I think you are one of those people we are looking for.
I see. So you actually value the passion for finance rather than the knowledge or skills for finance, because some of the students actually want to ask, do you expect them to have sound knowledge in finance, or would you test some questions in finance during the admission interview? So you're saying that you won't like test their finance knowledge, right?
We will not ask you to compute anything in. We're not going to ask you finance formula in our interview. That is not totally not our intention. You do not have to know finance before you apply, but at least you have to somehow show your interest in finance. For example, if you tell us, oh, you read newspaper sometime about the economy and the market, that kind of thing will be kind of enough to show us that you are interested in finance. But be careful, if you tell us that you read some financial news, maybe I will ask you what kind of news you read, and then you have to really show us that you really did it, not just claim that you read the news. We're going to have follow-up question on the topic that you mentioned. Pretty much my comment on this.
I see. So actually for three of you, for Matthew, Sharon, and Dorothy, I'm not sure whether all three of you have undergone the admission interview. And actually for me, I didn't receive the invitation and I get into it by school-based. So do you have any tips for our future candidates on how to prepare for the admission interview?
Sure. Actually, I also from the school base, I just entered the BBA program as well, and I picked the finance major later on. And I can just share the school base interview. It basically asked me about the field of artificial intelligence. Is actually some brief discussions instead of some really technical discussions.
I see. So how about Dorothy and Sharon? Do you have any tips for students to prepare for the admission interview?
I didn't have any interviews before I got into UST, but if I were to give out advice to students, I think it would be very important to understand what the world is doing right now. Like, what are the current trends? How is the financial market doing lately? And also, I think it'll be very important to just have your own opinions on the news and try to express your own points of view during the discussion. I think that'll be very important to stand out.
I see. So how about Dorothy?
I think, well, I also did not undergo any interviews, but then I think one of the very important traits, or one of the very important thing you have to show is why you like finance if you're interviewing for finance major. So you have to show that like why you're passionate about it. And for me, I think it is not very important for you to have the like hard skills yet, because you're still a secondary school student. So it's more about the passion and why you like the major.
I see. So actually for finance, there's two pathways that could get into the BBA program. The first one is school-based, and the second one is major-based. So which pathway do you think is easier, or which pathway do you think is more stressful? Maybe Sharon could share on it.
I think it really depends on like, it's a case by case. But then for me, I feel like broad-based is the right choice for me, because when I was a secondary school student, I kind of want to try out different business programs before I actually take a major and like focus on one of the fields. So because I got in through the broad-based program, I started with different courses in like marketing, management, and then the more hard skills based course like information systems and finance. So then throughout these 3 semesters, I feel like I've gained a very strong interest in the finance program because I have taken other programs as well. So then it led to my decision of choosing finance as a major. But then if you're a student that is really passionate about finance in this moment and you want to head start your studies in finance, then I would say maybe the finance program, like getting into UST with a major might be more suitable for you.
I see. Actually, for me, I also think that the school-based pathway is much more easier. And because DSC, you need to achieve a really high marks on your DSC to get into it. And also, there's some other questions regarding the subject combinations for finance. So some of the students may wonder whether we need BAFS knowledge, accounting knowledge for us to get into finance. And also some of them would wonder whether if they have no programming background, they don't know Python or BBA, that kind of stuff, would it be much more stressful for them if they get into finance? So what is your thoughts on it? Maybe Professor could also add your thoughts on it too. Do you think if we don't know BAFS, or if in their DSU they didn't study BAFS or have no programming skills, would it be hard for them to study finance? Maybe Matthew could share on it.
Yeah, sure. Actually, when I was in high school student, I also studied econ and BFS, which is kind of more like the business domain. But I would say actually the DSE level curriculum is kind of something basic in the university, but it will do help you to have a smoother take over when you just enter the university, maybe the first year or first semester. You will be more chill or relaxing because you're studying something that you have studied before, but I won't say it is necessary because it is something basic and the entry level course is not really difficult, but instead giving you a brief understanding on what's going on. And BFS is more like accounting stuff and economic stuff. So whether finance is not really maybe in between or outside the scope of this kind of 2 subjects. So no need to worry if you didn't study BFS or econ. And some people also mentioned programming. And if you are study, I think in business school, programming is not really prerequisite skills if you want to be a business student, but if you don't want to be engineer student, it may be a concern. But in business school, we provide really good support for you to learn programming from a beginner step. Like there's lots of course to guide you through the whole programming process. So it's not really necessary for you to have any understanding before coming into UST.
I see. So
I will, sorry. Okay,
please.
so I would like to add a little bit more. So for me, I actually studied physics, chemistry, and biology in secondary school, so which are like not related to any finance at all. And I also did not have any programming. background. But then I did not find any difficulties picking up the knowledge at UST. And then all my finance knowledge and like accounting and programming knowledge are actually all from the finance program. So if you're studying like if you don't have any business background, then I don't think it is a worry at all. And you can always learn it at school and through the finance program.
Yeah,
I'd
actually,
like to add on a little bit as well. So I think UST have done a very good job in terms of catering students with different needs. So for example, in economics courses, the introductory course is actually separated into 2 categories. So one course is for students without economic backgrounds, and one for students who took economics in DSE or in their other admission examinations. So then I think this is a very good approach to actually cater students with different needs. And for me, I don't have any programming skills as well, but I took one of the Python courses in UST, and it was also an introductory course. So my Python skills was also built up based on the introductory course that I took in UST.
I see. So actually, the year 1 foundation course has actually prepared students with no business knowledge into studying a business course. And actually, from now on, I will take the questions from the private chat. And one of the students asked how many rounds of interviews are there? And if the first interview is satisfactory, will there be a second round? And also, are there any bonus marks given to SPN applicants? Maybe Professor can take on this question.
I think about interview bonus mark, it is easier for you to look at the answer we already answered in the chat box. Just for accuracy, I don't want to say anything wrong. That's why for this specific question about interview bonus mark, please refer to the chat conversation.
Okay, so there's also another question regarding what is the difference between finance and global business program?
So for global business, they study that may not be related to finance at all. So if you look at global business curriculum, they don't have any finance course. They will focus on business to understand the interaction across countries, that kind of stuff, and also try to expose students to various kind of topic and cultures. It could be through exchange. For JUPAS, based on my understanding, you could go for exchange for 2 semesters instead of a normal BBA. Get supported to go for exchange for 1 semester. For finance curriculum, we focus only on the finance part, and of course, we also study other part of the business as well, but our students have to take probably 5 finance courses or 6 finance courses before graduation. So, but JUPAS, they can graduate with only 1 finance, which is a basic one, the basic finance. So, but my comments will be, if you are interested in both JUPAS and finance, you could declare JUPAS as your first major, and you can choose BBA Finance as your additional major. That would be your good option. Okay, let's get into JUPAS first and then declare finance as your additional major. This is actually very popular. This year we have 25 students do that. This year, okay, each year we have maybe between 10 to 20, but this year JUPAS students, a lot of them choose finance as additional major.
I see. So there's also another question. Is there any special requirements for HKDSC retaker to enter the finance program?
For this one, I think Raymond already replied. I think it's in the chat box. Let's look at the bottom question. I think we have new question in the bottom of the chat box. So maybe we can try to take care of the question in the chat box first, and then Cindy can lead us to some other topics in our agenda.
I see. So maybe we can, maybe from now on, if you want to ask a question, you can directly unmute yourself because our questions, we have already discussed all the questions in our agenda. So if you have any questions, you could unmute yourself or you could type it in the chat box.
Okay, I think next question is about, can you declare finance if your first major is JUPAS or economics or marketing? Yes, you can. Okay, just get B+ in the basic finance class, and then that's it. If you get B+, then in that one course, okay, in one finance course, you get B+, and then you can declare, most likely you can declare finance as your additional major. You can see the statistic in the link that I give to you in the chat box. Yes, SBM students are allowed to have additional major, both within the business school and outside. So basically, if you want to have additional in engineering school, you can do it, but you have to apply. And if engineering school say yes to you, you definitely could do it. Okay, and I think if you try, you could do it for sure. There will be some requirement from the engineering school side. Maybe they say your CGA has to be 3.5 or whatever, or 3.3, and you have to take some class. So if you want to do cross school, but if you want to declare additional major within business school, such as marketing, accounting, those kind of things is relatively easy to do. And I believe maybe 70% of our finance students have additional major in another BBA. So
I see. So I think one student actually raise your hand. So maybe you can unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Irene. I would like to ask a question about the interviews. So does it mean that we have to get really good results in the DSE in order to like have an interview, or does like everyone like has that chance?
I think for this one, Raymond, can you help us? Raymond or Jessica?
Yes, I'm here. So would you mind to repeat your questions? Because I'm... Hi, Irene.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Irene.
Oh, okay. So my question was, do we have to get really good DSE results in order to like have an interview, or does like everyone get that chance?
Basically, for the interview for the finance program, we actually offer the interview after the DSE exam, but before the results release. So for the criteria for shortlisting the candidates to join the interview is based on your internal school results. So for our suggestions, we recommend you guys to put a finance program or our business program in band A, so that you can have a high chance to get the interview opportunities from us.
Raymond, I want to ask about this as well, but the interview is not required for BBA Finance, right? So what I mean is that even if students not get invited for interview, it will have very small impact on the admission result. Is that correct?
Yes. So for finance program, that interview is not a compulsory component for being admitted to this program. So if you obtain outstanding performance during the interview, so you will be obtained the admission bonus point when we work on the ranking ranking procedures for the final NA candidates. So even though if you couldn't receive any interview opportunities, but if you also can get the good results in the HKDSE examinations, just like Dorothy or Cindy as mentioned just now, so you guys can still get into the finance program.
What if they perform not well in the interview? What will happen? What is the
It's
chance
not-
to get into BBA finance? Is it going to be similar to those who didn't get invited? Or it will be even worse if they perform not well? Is there any effect at all?
No, if they didn't perform well in the interview, they would not have any penalty at the end for the decision making. Yeah.
I have another
So-
question related to the interview as well. If we get relatively normal results during the DSE, then if we get to have that interview, like if we do really well in the interview, will that help us for this, like for applying this program? Like, has anyone done that before? Like they got relatively normal results, but they excel in the interview and then they got into that program because of the interview. Has that happened before, or is it will that
basically
happen?
Basically for the interview, it's just the admission bonus to be added on your when calculating your admission score. So there is not a case that's before that for the students who are really outstanding during the interview performance and get the offer easier from earlier from the JUPAS results release. So it's just an add-on bonus.
I see. And is it more like is it really formal, or is it just like chit chat, like I'm talking to you or something like that? Is it really formal? Are they going to ask any really difficult questions like about that specific program?
That would be depends on the interview panel, because the style of each interviewers are different. And basically, according to our previous experience, the interviewers ask some questions regarding the current issues and also some chit-chat sections to get to know more about you guys and see whether you are a student who are suitable for the business program.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So there's also another questions in the chat box asking about what is the minimum requirements going to exchange. So I think maybe our speakers could share about it. Do you think there's minimum requirements or on it?
I think for my virtual exchange program, there is a requirement for GPA, but I don't remember whether it is 3.3 above or 3.5 above, but there is a minimum requirement on GPA.
I see. So I think our panel discussion is about to over. So maybe we can now, if you have questions, you can stay behind, or you can send us email to ask us. If you have no questions, you may leave now. So once again, thank you everyone to attend our live talk, and we hope you have gained a virtual understanding of our program.
Yes, students, if you have further questions, so you can just visit our finance booth. You can ask questions there because we will still have our finance student representative there to answer your questions. Okay, thank you.